Good evening and welcome to the Park Life Football Podcast. This is the early kickoff show. Tonight's hot topics: Steve Bruce, why has he been sacked? Coming live in the studio with tonight's guests Thomas Schott and Danny Roberts. Good evening, Tom.
Good evening, Luke.
Good evening, Danny.
Good evening, Luke.
Right then, Steve Bruce has been sacked. We talked about it in the final whistle show earlier in the week. We said he wouldn't be sacked. We thought he'd have been given 2 more games, but he hasn't. The board have took it into their own hands and he's been sacked.
Yep. Well, I thought, as we said last week, if you look at the next 2 games, they're both winnable, or they're both easy enough to get some points from, you'd think. So we thought after them 2 games, if he'd not got enough, then he'd be gone. But I mean, the board have acted now, and look, well, he's out.
Do you agree with that, Danny?
Yeah, I think he should have been given a couple more games, I think, but given the money that he spent at the start of the season and the expectations of the club and the fans, and obviously the board, it's their decision to let him go.
Right then, Martin O'Neill is the odds-on favourite with the bookies to be the next Sunderland manager. Mark Hughes and Rafa Benitez are also among the top contenders to replace Steve Bruce, who parted company with the club last night. Former Sunderland star Michael Gray tells Sky Sports News O'Neill wouldn't be a bad choice at all in his opinion.
He would certainly be in my top 2. I worked with Martin for a short period of time when I was up in Celtic, and I know he's a terrific manager and he gets the best out of people, and exactly that's what we need at Sunderland at the moment.
So there we go. Michael Gray thinks the favourite, or he was the favourite earlier today, Mark Hughes, should get the job, but it looks like in the last few hours Martin O'Neill's become favourite.
Yeah, I'd agree with that. I mean, he's got good Premiership experience. He led Villa to 2 consecutive 5th finishes, was it? Which was wasn't seemed enough. But I mean, if you look at a club of Villa and how they're doing now, it seemed like he did a great job there. So Sunderland have got a talented squad. I can't see him. I can see him doing well there. So I think he's rightfully the favourite.
Right then, Danny, what do you think? Who do you think should be getting this Sunderland job? We've got Martin O'Neill, 8-13. Mark Hughes, 2-1. Radomir Antic, who we've had to look up actually. He was a good manager apparently in Barcelona, Real Madrid. He's at 14-1. Then we got outsiders really from there on. Ole Gunnar Solskjaer 20-1, Rafa Benitez 20s, Ronald Koeman 20s, Carlos Queiroz 25, Poyet 25, Di Matteo 25, and Ian Holloway I think's no chance to be honest, 25-1. Who would you pick off that list, Danny?
I'd like to see Solskjaer get given a chance in the Prem.
He's only had a year in management knowing
it'd be a big job
where
for
he's
him.
at.
And it's hard for younger managers to get into such a big job, especially when the expectations are so high and they've just sacked a manager. So I think Mark Hughes would be my tip to get the job.
Yeah, I think I'd go with that. Either Mark Hughes or O'Neill. I think they'd be 2 fantastic managers up at Sunderland. I don't think any of them had connections with the club before. I don't think either of them have played for it. But
I think Mark Hughes probably jumped into a job with Fulham too early after he left City. Martin O'Neill's been out.
Yeah.
And obviously been.
I think Martin O'Neill's a very good manager.
It's about time he got back into the game.
He's definitely got the experience behind him, hasn't he? So
definitely.
Yeah, well, Hughes. One of the reasons Hughes left Fulham was because of the lack of money and ambition. But if you look at Sunderland, they've certainly got enough money. So if he gets approached, then I think he'll go. But I think O'Neill is first choice.
Yeah, right. We've just got a bit of news in. Police have passed on a file regarding an alleged racial slur by John Terry to the Crown Prosecution Service. The England captain is alleged to have abused QPR defender Anton Ferdinand during one of England's Premier League matches. Sky's crime correspondent Martin Brunt says the CPS will decide whether or not to bring charges with punishments at either end of the scale. Here we go.
There are 3 different charges, and the lowest of those charges carries a maximum of £2,500 fine, but the more serious, the next 2 charges, possible charges, could land a maximum sentence of 2 years in prison.
So there we go, a bit of news on John Terry. We've got more about that coming up in the show, but just a quick reflection, lads. What do you think about that John Terry incident?
Well, I can't see him getting 2 years in prison, whatever he's done. I mean, seems like one rule for footballers, one rule for the rest, doesn't it? So.
Footballers are a protected breed these days.
Yeah. If he has said it, I think it's wrong, and he should be. He shouldn't have the England captaincy anymore. He shouldn't have the Chelsea captaincy. But I mean, is it going to be proven that he said it or not?
I bet that'll be. We'll never find that out, but
yeah,
we'll soon see in the next few days. Anyway, we'll move on to that a bit later in the show. Coming up next, the review of the fixtures for this weekend. Right then, lads. Newcastle-Chelsea, that's the early kick-off this weekend at St James's Park. Newcastle, good result last weekend against United, that 1-1 draw. Away at Old Trafford. Can they beat Chelsea?
I can't see why not. At the minute, Chelsea are looking average. I mean, I backed them as my tip. I'm sad to say, to beat Liverpool in midweek, but they lost. They've lost 3 out of the last 4 at home. Now they've got to go away to a strong Newcastle team. So, I mean, I think Newcastle will fancy the chances on Saturday.
I think it'll be a lot closer than we'd expect. Chelsea have been down, but they'll want to start getting wins, and obviously the fans are behind AVB, so the players are going to have to be. I think Newcastle will just tip it 2-1.
I did hear this morning that obviously Ancelotti, who was there beforehand, and who's the one who's Russian manager? Hiddink, he said as well that it's the players, the older players, that are letting Chelsea down. It's not AVB. What do you think about that?
Well, the defence hasn't looked solid. Terry's not looked. I mean, he's looking slow now. Lampard's not banging in the goals like he used to. Drogba's not first choice anymore. I'd say like Ashley Cole's probably been as good as you'd expect from Cole, but they're not setting the world alight at the minute, are they?
Does Peter Cech need to get this headgear off his head before he... Since that incident, to me, he doesn't look the same confident
He's been half
keeper.
the player he was.
When that ball comes in the air across, he's hesitant to go and get it because he's scared that somebody's going to land on his head.
You can understand why, given what happened with him.
But it's about 3 or 4 seasons on now.
Yeah,
he's got to start taking that off before he's going to get that confidence
He's looked
back.
better. I mean, I know what you mean. The first year or so afterwards, he did look shaky, which is understandable. But now, I think he's still a world-class keeper. I don't think he's the problem, to be honest.
Where does the problem lie then? I know we talked about this the
Defensively.
other week and we didn't want to go too much into it again, but you think it's still the defence that are the weakness, not the lack of goals they've scored? I
mean, yeah, if you can't keep a clean sheet and you can't score goals, then obviously there's a problem. You're not going to win games, are you? But, I mean, he's playing too high a line for my liking. I mean, Terry's not the fastest. Ivanovic isn't the fastest. Alex isn't. David Luiz looks like a liability.
David Luiz is too European, if that's the correct way of saying it.
Yeah,
he wants to get the ball at his feet and he wants to run, as opposed to John Terry would rather just get rid of the ball.
He should be a holding midfielder.
Yeah.
And then he can do them searching.
He needs
that
creative freedom, otherwise I don't think he'll fit in.
So where do you think the problem lies then, Danny? How are we going to resolve this problem at Chelsea? What is the way to get them back into winning ways?
Well, like you say, you can't just blame the defence because they're not scoring goals, but they're leaking goals. And the whole team's got to pull together, really. They've just got to put in some strong performances and get the confidence up, because they've not been... They're a shadow of the side they were under Mourinho.
Yeah. I know Abramovich wants like the sexy football, so to speak, but you've got to sort your defence out first. Mourinho won games, he won titles by playing average football, but they were solid defensively. You got to get back to that first and foremost, I think, and then once you're solid defensively, you can pick up points, you can win games by 1 goal.
Defence is the best form of attack.
Yeah, exactly.
Good quote from Andy Gray there, Danny. Right, go on then, give us your predictions, Tom. Newcastle-Chelsea.
I'm going for a draw, 1-1, maybe 2-2.
Danny?
2-1 Newcastle.
Newcastle. I'm going to go, not sure in the score, but I'm going to go either a draw. No, I'm going to go Newcastle win. I fancy him just to nick it home. Right then, we'll move on. Blackburn-Swansea. Not the best of games, this. Blackburn struggling of late. Managers on the verge of, I don't know. The fans want him out. The board want him to stay. How do you see this one going, Tom?
Again, it's a close game, I think. Swansea surprising a few people in the Premiership. They're playing some nice football, winning games, sitting mid-table, I think. And Blackburn are on a shocking run, bottom of the table. Just got knocked out by Cardiff last night. So, I mean, I think Swansea could be classed as favourites for this. It's a must-win game for Blackburn and Steve Keane, though. If he doesn't get at least a point, then I think he might not be getting that transfer kitty in January.
What do you think then about the situation at Blackburn, Danny? Do you think it's one the manager should go? I know we talked about it in the last show, but just give us a bit more in-depth to what you think.
Yeah, especially after Cardiff. He knew that he was going to be
We
a
all
good
said
game.
that on the cards, didn't we? We all said that, to be fair, earlier in the week. That
I fancy the Cardiff win, yeah, but he played a weakened side, which, when you get into the latter stages of a cup, when you're not doing so well in the league, it'd boost the fans. And if you get into, say, the final of the cup, then they're going to stick behind you, because at least you're showing some ambition, but you can't play weak inside. I said Yakubu was going to bag a few, but he only brought him on after 80 minutes. And when you're doing that to someone that's been scoring, I know Blackburn haven't scored many goals, but Yakubu's been on the score sheet, and bringing him on after 80 minutes to replace kids just isn't going to cut it.
I can understand why he did it, because Steve Keane will look at this game and think we should get some points from this. So if he rests his key players, and he gets 3 points at the weekend, then he'll say it's justified that he rested players against Cardiff. So
Steve Keane always says a lot of things, and I wouldn't agree with any of them.
So what do you think he's taking more important then? The league or obviously he's not took the cup important because he's played that weekend side. Well, is that weekend side? So then the game at the weekend against Swansea, he thinks he can play his full strength team and win that.
That's exactly what I think. I think he'll see this game as a must win, and 3 points he should be getting, I think, at home. But so that's why I think he's rested the key players.
I don't think Blackburn have got a strong side, to be honest.
I agree with you there, Danny. I think they're a weak, very weak side, and weak mentally as well. When they go behind, that's basically like, that's it, we've lost now. But I think Steve Keane, he might, I know we don't really like him, but his team selection might be the right choice, because if you look, Tottenham play against Bolton, who are down there with them, and Wigan have got Arsenal. So if Blackburn can get anything there, it can almost take them out of the drop zone. It'll put them onto 10 points, put them 18th if Bolton and Wigan don't pick any points. So it might be a good decision.
I think it will be. I mean, you've got to pick up points at home anyway to stay out of trouble, but against teams that are going to be in and around you like Swansea, then this is a must-win for 3 points.
Yeah, definitely 3 points. But I'd just like to see him have a little cup run. They're not doing well in the league, and he has to admit that. Let the fans have something to cheer about on the terraces with a cup run.
But if he gets a City or a Liverpool in the next round, then is it going to be worth it? I can't see him beating them.
But if he beats them, the fans totally have a different reaction on what
it's a big if.
The manager. It's a big if.
Yeah, I know.
But it is an if.
At the end of the day, his time's going to be short at Blackburn because the fans will eventually have him out. So if he wants to get him on the side, then I think he had to go for a cut run. He's let the fans down there.
But I think the fans would take staying up over getting to the final or winning.
Would, but I think a lot of Blackburn fans would say they're in dire trouble now. The club's in massive trouble. Where they are now, we're near enough halfway. Well, a third through the season. And the rock bottom of the Premier League, a little cut run would have been nice. Anyway, we'll move on. City Norwich, probably only one winner of this at the Etihad Stadium. 3 o'clock kickoff down there. Man City Norwich. Danny Roberts, what do you think?
Can't say anything but a City win, to be honest. I think they'll get a few relatively early goals and then they'll just shut Norwich out. I don't think Norwich have got the attacking prowess to break City's defence down at the moment.
I do think Norwich are a good team, though. I watched them earlier in the season. I know you did, Danny, as well, against Bolton, and they absolutely tore Bolton apart. It looked like they were the home team. Bolton looked like they were backs against the wall job.
But it could be just that Bolton are another team that are struggling, and they were shown to be struggling by Norwich, who, like you say, absolutely dominated on the day.
I think, City will win it, but I think Norwich will give them a good run for the money. They won't make it as easy as you'd expect from a team who's just been promoted.
I think Paul Lambert will go out to attack. He doesn't seem to be like one of the managers that will go to either the Etihad or Old Trafford and sit back and watch United or City just come at him. I think he'll want to try and get a goal at least just to show that he went for it.
Yeah, definitely. I'm just looking now at the teams who got promoted, and it's brilliant to see, to be honest. You've got Norwich in 10th, QPR 11th, and Swansea in 13th. Now, for 3 teams who have been promoted, I know that a few fancied maybe Norwich or QPR to stay up, but they all look like they're going to be comfortable, really. I know we're very early days in the season talking about staying up or going down, but the start of the season that they've all had, they've made a solid start, and they all look like Premier League teams.
It's just a case of if they can keep it up and whether the bigger teams are going to find them out, so to speak, if they just find out the tactics and the way they play. I mean, championship teams, they put themselves about, don't they? They get stuck in, and maybe some teams don't like that in the Premiership, but Norwich, fair play to them, they're playing some good football. They went to United and pushed them to the limits. They went at home to Arsenal a few weeks ago. 2-1 was it? They played well. So I think they're going to go to City and attack, but I mean, you look at City's forwards, I think they could have a field day tomorrow.
They've had a bit of a blip though.
Yeah, they're not.
A bit of a blip in performance. They lost in Napoli.
Yeah.
Then they drew at the weekend against Liverpool. Then they beat Arsenal though midweek, didn't they? So
yeah.
Maybe they're back on the road. But it'd be nice to see Norwich have a good go.
One thing I was thinking was, when was the last time 3 teams came up and they all stayed up?
That's a good shout. I'm not sure.
As it happened, I can't remember in my lifetime it happening.
But you've got to look at that, and I fancy that to happen this season.
I do. It'd be good to see what the odds were for that.
You look at the teams in the bottom 3, at the minute you'd say the worst and the promoted teams, so it could happen. They could all stay up.
Right then, after this, we'll move on to the next half of the games in the Premier League. Right then, boys. QPR West Brom. That's the next game. 3 o'clock. QPR.
It's going to be a close game, I think. I mean, QPR seems to do a lot better at home. They've got some good players like Barton, Wright Phillips. So I think Warnock will be looking at this game thinking he needs to get something. At home, he needs to get something.
I like both these teams, to be fair. QPR have come up, bit of freshness, nice few signings, like you say, Joey Barton, Sean Wright Phillips. I think they're a decent sides, but I like West Brom under Roy Hodgson. They've become a good team, nice, solid. Very much like he had his Fulham team when he first took over. Build a nice, solid base and then progress from there. And I probably think if West Brom can keep that solid base going for this season, maybe next season or the season after, we'll probably see him pushing right up that table and getting into that top 8. I know that's what Roy Hodgson's long-term plans will be. So I'm going to say a West Brom win for that. I fancy West Brom.
Well, I mean, you look at West Brom's forwards. Shane Long's been a great buy. Odin Wingy, last year he was quality as well. So they've got the forwards to trouble QPR. The defence isn't solid. So I mean, I could see West Brom winning, but I think it'll be a draw in my opinion.
Where do you see it going, Danny?
I'd probably go for a draw. I've been so quiet then because I don't really know. It's hard to predict, really.
It is a tough game. It's going to be probably a quiet game. It won't be the best of matches, but it's going to be a tight one.
It could be a bit scrappy, which I'm afraid of, but I'll go QPR 1-0. They'll just snatch it at home.
Right then, moving on across London. Tottenham Bolton. We've got our resident Bolton fan in Danny Roberts here. We'll start with you, Danny. Where's this one going to go?
Tottenham next game.
Tottenham to win.
I can't see it going anywhere else, to be honest. Bolton aren't great at home, and away from home they're absolutely dire. And Tottenham run a march up the table, and they'll continue that at home on Saturday.
I really like Tottenham. One of my favourite teams in the Premier League, if I'm being honest. Just the whole round play. Everybody looks good around everybody else. They all contribute each other well. You've got Parker, Modric, Van der Vaart, Bale, Lennon. The list is endless, to be honest, of how many good players is at that club. And I think if it wasn't for the money of Man City and obviously the excellence of Man United, who continue to do it season after season, they'd be probably challenging for the title.
Well, I think they can go into second, can they? If they
I
win.
think so, yeah.
Well, they had a blip last night against PAOK, and I
Yeah,
had a bet as well.
They could
Which
go.
lost
They
me.
could go. They could go second. Yeah, you're right. If Man United struggle against Villa, if they only pick a point up, then they'll be level on points with United.
Have they not got a game in hand, though?
They have got a game in hand.
So,
You're right, Tom.
I mean, I think they'll win this. And
They'll win this. I'm not sure what the game in hand is, but you're very right. They could go second.
I think they will do. I can't say
Deserved.
anything. Yeah, the way they're playing, are they unbeaten in about 10 games in the Prem? I
They wouldn't
mean,
go past it. Some records like that.
they're playing really well. Redknapp said, but he's not getting too carried away. But if they keep playing the way they are, winning the games, then they could be right up there.
The only
So-
problem with Tottenham, though, is they do it every year, and they always have a push, and then they always slack off. I think the team changes around a bit too much, because one week you'll have Pavlyuchenko and Defoe up front, and then the next week you'll be trying to sell them.
I agree with you there, but I think this season he's started to pick out a team that he thinks is his strongest
Yeah,
lineup
he's
now.
got-
They've
fresh
got, they've got
Adebayor
strength in
seems-
depth as well.
Adebayor seems to start every week. He puts Defoe on the bench, or he'll play him alongside Adebayor. Your midfield basically picks itself week in, week out.
Yeah.
Your defence sort of does, apart from obviously Ledley King, who comes in and out depending on how fit he is.
I think defence is the only thing they can really improve on.
One thing I do think they've definitely improved this season, apart from obviously the midfield goes stronger and stronger each season, is Brad Friedel in the goal. He's been an excellent buy from this season. Gomez, I know Redknapp tried to keep his faith with Gomez, but he never really looked settled at the club, and he was always either amazing or he was making mistakes.
Yeah, he
I
pulled
think
off.
Brad Friedel's brought in that solidarity.
He pulled off one or two really good saves, and he just messed up on an easy save or catch. So I mean, Friedel's just a solid keeper, isn't he?
So we fancy Tottenham win?
Yeah,
Tom,
definitely.
any score?
I think it'll be by a few goals, 2-3-0.
Danny?
4-0 Tottenham.
I fancy something like that, 3 or 4-0, definitely. I can see Tottenham giving him a good batter in there. Right then, move on. Another Northwest club then who's struggling. It's not a good time for Northwest football at the moment. Wigan at home to Arsenal down at the DW Stadium. Arsenal used to have a good record, I think, at Wigan.
Well, saying that, Wigan have a good record against like the top 4 teams usually. They're an inconsistent team. They play well against the big boys and then seems to let it slip against the ones in and around them. But I mean, the way Arsenal are playing at the minute, they're playing well. I think they're unbeaten as well in the Prem, so I can't see anything but Arsenal to win, to be honest.
Danny?
I'd agree with Tom about them playing well against the top four, but this season I don't think they've played well against anyone really. They've not really put a performance in. I think you're going back to the days of Jimmy Bullard when they were last threatening top teams. I think Arsenal see this as an easy win, which is something that you wouldn't associate with Arsenal this season, especially all the trouble that they've had.
So going off what we've said then, we're going to be saying Blackburn, fancy them to get something down at home to Swansea. Is that right, yeah?
Yeah.
So if we're saying that and we reckon Wigan and Bolton are going to get beat, then that's going to move Blackburn up the table and near enough out of the drop zone.
Well, it will, but I mean, I think them 3 teams are going to be down there anyway. Will Blackburn still be 18th?
They'll be 18th, but does that start of a push out of trouble?
You have to look at the fixtures Blackburn have got. I mean, at home against Swansea isn't the hardest game. If next week they're away to United or something, then they're going to be right back down there.
I think they'll get beat by Swansea, to be honest. I don't think they've got enough. There's one team every year that you can say they're going down, and that's the team this year.
So you fancy all them 3 North West clubs to go down, do you, Danny?
It's a worrying time for North West clubs, and especially being a Bolton fan. But like you said last week's show, we need to go down to realise there's a problem and then come back up, probably.
I reckon that's the case with most of them clubs down there. Just looking at Blackburn's fixtures, though, they've got Swansea this weekend, Sunderland away next weekend, Blackburn West Brom the following weekend, to Blackburn at home to West Brom. The week after that, Tuesday night game, just before Christmas, Blackburn at home to Bolton. That could be a vital point match there if they can get 3 points, either of them teams.
Yeah.
But if Blackburn can get a little run together here, beat Swansea, beat Sunderland, beat West Brom, beat Bolton, they could be moving up the table before Christmas, and it might look a bit brighter for Blackburn fans.
Yeah, it is quite a good run, that. If you can get a few points out of it, get to January, get that 10 million has been promised, and bring in... But saying that, where do you improve the team? Because...
I don't know. I think they're just a poor team.
But
and then just looking back at the fixtures here, you've got that up to Christmas. Boxing Day, they've got Liverpool away. New Year's Eve, Man United away. Then New Year's Day, 2nd of Jan, they've got Stoke at home. And then game after that, Blackburn Fulham. So if they want to get out of this bad position they're in at the moment, they've got to win these next 4 games up to Christmas.
They need to bring in Mark Hughes. That's the last time they looked threatening.
I have to agree with you. Right then, we'll move on anyway. Saturday night, the night game, Aston Villa versus Manchester United. It's usually a very tough game, this.
It is, yeah.
Previous years, Man United have...
seem to struggle against Villa.
Yeah, they do. And I remember last season, I think it was Rooney, or it might have been the season before, came on as a sub in about the 70th minute, and he had to change the game. I think they won it 1-0 United, or it might have been 2-1. But they do seem to struggle down at Villa Park. Thomas Shott?
That was under different managers, under McLeish. If you just look average Villa, they're not attacking, they're not... they're defensively quite solid, but
they look average, but they're 18th in the table. 18th.
I'm surprised. But they're just picking up points at home, really, aren't they? I mean, that's going to be crucial. And United are looking average as well at the minute. Lost against Crystal Palace last night. They're not playing very well.
I think average is a bit harsh, especially considering you're a United fan.
I'm just being truthful. I think we've been poor.
I don't think you can call the champions average, though. I think they play like champions. They'll grind out a result regardless of who they're playing, usually.
Well, but last night, Fergie had to apologise to the fans, didn't he, for the way that team played.
I think they're just going in a glitch. This happens,
Everyone
no doubt Man City will have a glitch. They've gone on a little one now. They'll probably win again, but over Christmas now and the games start getting crowded, you've got Champions League thrown in there. When we come back in the new year, you've got your FA Cup game straight away. That one of the first weekends in January. It all starts to get crowded up. And you've got to be... The managers have to be good in the team selections. One week you need your strongest team, and so do you do the next week. But which one do you play? One's an FA Cup, one's a Premier League. Who do you focus on? And that's when the blips come. I reckon City will have a blip around Christmas time now.
Yeah, every team goes off the boil for a few games, but I mean, United have just not looked as good as they have been in past years, in my opinion.
But I remember we the last season and the season before that, when United won the title. Halfway through the season, the football was average, poor. You weren't entertained when you were watching it, and then all of a sudden, comes to the new year when other teams start to struggle, and they just turned it on big time.
It was when
And they
Rooney
won
was
the
having
league
his,
easily, yeah. When Rooney
his
had that
drought.
good season.
because Rooney used to be a bit temperamental. I think he's more of a playmaker these days than an out-and-out striker, and they always look to passing the ball, and he comes in
Yeah.
looking for the ball. And in previous seasons, when he's just been a striker, when he doesn't score, the press get on his back, the fans get on his back, asking why he's not scoring for such a good player, and it affects his confidence and then the whole morale of the whole team. But this year, I think he's been consistent, and United will pick it up again. They always do.
Brilliant. Then I'm just before we move on to the Sunday and Monday's games, I'm just looking at the table here, and it's very interesting. It's almost like 3 tables. We've got from City in first down to Arsenal in 7th. You've already got a 12-point gap there, right? And then from 8th, which is Villa, well, from 7th Arsenal to Villa, who are in 8th, there is a 7-point gap between 8th and 7th. Then from 8th right the way down to Blackburn, who are 20th, it's only a 10-point gap. 9 points.
Yeah, well,
So that just shows you how tight the league is. So you can be up thinking you're doing well, top half of the table, Villa. They lose 2 games, they're right back down in
the
it.
mix, yeah. I mean, that top 7, they're going to be challenging for the Champions League and then Europa League. And then there's some teams who are just happy to get mid-table, and then the bottom 3, bottom 4, whatever, they're going to be struggling, I think.
Right then, coming up soon, the Sunday matches. We've got Everton, Stoke, Wolves, Sunderland, and then Monday, Fulham, Liverpool. After the matches, we've got sports news and gossip, Tom tips of the weekend. Right then, boys. Sunday the 4th of December. It's already December already, not long before it'll be Christmas. We've got Everton, Stoke. Where do you think that's going to go?
Good win last weekend against Bolton. Moyes said the team are looking good, they're looking happy. So Stoke, always a tough team to play. But they're playing Dynamo Kiev tonight, aren't they, at home?
Yeah.
I mean, it's at home, but it's still going to take some out of the players if he plays most of his big guns. And then it'll be tough going to Everton. So I think Everton should be looking to get the 3 points.
Yeah, just while we're on that, we'll just Fulham are just kicking off in their attempt to reach the knockout phase of the Europa League. They need a win in Holland against FC Twente to guarantee their progression. Stoke are in a similar position, and they host Dynamo Kiev later. Just before we move on, how do you see them games going, boys?
I mean, going away in Europe's always tough. FC Twente look a decent side. Fulham haven't been playing that well away from home in Europe, so I can't see them winning. Stoke at home. Kiev are a good side. I mean, they got a point away at Kiev, so do they need to win, Stoke?
Yes, I think they do.
Yeah, that'll be a tough task. I think they can do it.
They need a win, yes. They need a win in Holland.
The set pieces is the strong point for Stoke, and it depends how Dynamo defend that. So, I mean, if you got Crouch and Jones up front, I think they could cause some problems. So, they'll be confident at home.
Danny, where do you see that one going then? The Stoke game over in Dynamo Kiev.
In Stoke.
Is it in Stoke?
Yeah, it's in Stoke.
Oh, sorry. Against Dynamo Kiev.
It's still going to be a hard task to beat Dynamo Kiev. It's a totally different game to the Prem European. I think if you told Tony Pulis his strong point was set pieces these days, I don't think he'd be very happy with you, Tom. I don't think they rely on Delap and corners anymore. I think he's trying to build a team that can attack.
They've definitely moved
on
on
the
since
floor.
them early days of just chucking it in and bashing people
Oh yeah,
in the end.
they're
they
an
try to play
established team,
football,
though.
but they've got to play. Teams have got to play to their strengths, and the size of the players, you've got to look to
I
get the
still
ball
think
in the
Crouch
box.
is better on the floor than he is in the air.
He is, yeah. I think he struggles
So
in
I
the
don't
air, to be honest.
I don't think he's someone you can aim for. Kenwyn Jones would be, but I think Stoke want to get away from this.
99% of the time, Crouch is going to win the flick on that.
So what about when Everton play Stoke then? Crouch going to be a big player in that one. I know Everton sometimes are weak to the set pieces.
Well, yeah, Everton aren't the biggest at the back. I mean, Heitinger is 6 foot. Distan's quite a tall lad, but I mean, yeah, they can cause anyone problems. Stoke with the set pieces. They've got some massive players, but I think with Stoke playing tonight and with Everton and the form they're in, the confidence is high. So I think they'll have enough to get the 3 points.
Do you fancy Everton?
Yeah.
Danny, same.
Yeah, Everton are again that quiet team that always sneak up the table. You don't really see the results. You'd say it was a good win last week, but they were playing Bolton, who haven't been on top form, and they had 10 men from 20 minutes in. So I think it'll be a tough game. I'll go for a 1-1 draw.
Right then, Wolves, Sunderland. This is going to be a big clash. Bottom of the table clash. Teams who are both in trouble. Sunderland might have a new manager by then. Maybe not.
Well, I think Eric Black's taking charge for this game.
Good knowledge.
The assistant. But, I mean, it's either going to work two ways for Sunderland. If they know that they've got a manager in line, then they're going to want to play well to show that they can... Well, to show they should be in the first 11, but Wolves are quite solid. I mean, Mick McCarthy's going to be wanting to get some points at home, but I can see this being a draw, I think.
Danny, where do you see this one going then?
I think both teams have got the firepower to win the game, but I'd probably go Wolves because they're at home, and Sunderland, they've been having a tough time of it anyway. They've not got if they've not got a fixed manager by then, I think they'll really struggle, really, because if Steve Bruce brought in the assistant, I don't know if that's true.
I'm not sure.
They might not trust him either now that Steve's gone, and they'll just want some security, really, and to see where they're going in the future.
I think if Sunderland get a new manager in, then new manager syndrome might kick in. Normally when a new manager comes in, they always win the first game, and everybody loves him.
Don't you?
So if they do get a new manager, which rumours going around, they might have done that. I'm going to go Sunderland win, but if not, I fancy Wolves just to nick it and demoralise Sunderland even more.
Talking about that, I think it's a bit... I think Steve Bruce will feel a bit hard done by. Like, they didn't tell him he was safe as such, but they've kept with him, and now Mark Hughes was supposed to be going for an interview straight away, and he's only been sacked within days of him being sacked. I think it's a bit like they already knew what they were going to do, and they didn't really tell him or anyone else.
Do you know what I was going to say? I saw earlier, it was, if it got to the 1st of December, it would have been the first time no manager in the Prem has been sacked. We missed out by 1 day, is it? So that's quite a nice.
Might be about right, yeah. We've got to go, like, honestly, at the start of the season, obviously everybody has a bet on who's the manager who's going to be next out, first manager sacked, and Steve Bruce would have been the last one on your list after what a great team he brought in.
Yeah. I wouldn't have put him at the top, no. Nowhere near.
But that's going to work both ways, because it is his team. He spent a lot of money. I know he got a lot of money from like selling Darren Bent and selling players.
Answer me that though about Bent. I know a few people have been saying on football blogs and stuff that it was Bent's exit who undid Bruce's like building up of his team. He seemed to be building a team, and I think Bent was at the forefront of that team.
He was building a team around Bent, wasn't it?
So is that why he's been sacked? Bent's gone.
Well,
after that, he asked him to struggle. You have to admit he's struggled since Bent's left.
He got a lot of money for Bent. It was a good deal. I mean, 20 million. If he wants to spend that on a striker, he can get someone in at Sunderland. They're quite a big club, but you've got to look at the players he's brought in. They're good players, but I'm just like, I don't know why they're struggling.
Say that, but who could he have brought in? Do you reckon would actually go to Sunderland?
Well, if they've got 45,000 stadiums.
You're always going to be hard to go to Sunderland. It's a north-east club. People don't like north-east. The weather's not brilliant. You've not got the shopping.
Darren Bent went because he wanted
industrial towns.
He wanted a change, and he was out of favour. The last time he was really prolific was probably Charlton. Then he went to Tottenham. It kind of ruined his game for a bit, and then when he was at Sunderland, he was starting to pick it up again, and he's gone to Aston Villa now, and he's still not great, I wouldn't say.
Right then, we'll move on. Monday night's game. Monday night football, no doubt it'll be on Sky. Fulham-Liverpool. How do you see that one going, Tom?
Well, Fulham got a good point away at Arsenal, didn't they, last week? Liverpool, they'll be on a high after beating Chelsea midweek.
They have just found out, though, Lucas out for the season. I think it's a knee injury.
I mean, people don't rate Lucas, but I think...
I don't rate Lucas.
I think
just
he's
for
a
the
good
record.
player.
He's never been Brazilian.
But he does what's expected of him, which is to just win the ball back for the team and set off the attacks. He's not like a Gerrard who's bombing into the box or an Adam who's spraying the ball around.
Saying that, I think
But a lot of players do what they need to for the team. Gary Caldwell at Wigan does what he needs to do for the team.
No,
I wouldn't
but he
rate him
doesn't do
either.
it well.
saying
Lucas
that,
is-
I reckon Gerrard. It might be a bold statement to make, but I think he's past it a bit now. His injuries are becoming a bit more frequent, and I don't think he's.
I don't
don't
think you
agree
can
with
say
that.
that.
I think
I
he's
do.
been injured for a while now. You've got to give him chances. He's not
I've
come
not
back
seen
in
him
yet.
play, so
But
we
it's
can't
because
see
Let
as
him
he's
come back
getting
in.
older and injuries are becoming more frequent, it happens to Michael Owen, and he's sitting on the bench for
But a fit,
United
a
or
fit
Steven
Steven
Gerrard.
Gerrard.
Michael Owen's still prolific. We all know that he can't play week in, week out now, and he accepts that. But when he comes on, he does make a difference. He plays well, and he normally bags a goal, which has been proven at United. It was about 16 starts, 16 goals.
He'll start figuring less for Liverpool, I reckon.
I
you
think
think-
Steven Gerrard would walk into probably any team in the world. Even Barcelona, I think, would take him. He's that good. I mean, on his day,
I don't think
he
he'd go to
wins
Barca.
games on his own. He's
He
won
wouldn't
so
fit-
many
he
points
wouldn't
for
just
Liverpool.
walk into Barca's team. I can't accept that. Xavi and Iniesta won't be pushed out of the team for Steven Gerrard. An aging, injured Steven Gerrard at that.
But when he's fit, he's so good.
I know, but that's what you're saying, when he's fit.
Lovely cushion header for Gerrard.
Exactly.
Barcelona wouldn't mind a bit of that. I don't think any club would not take Steven Gerrard
Oh,
despite how
you'd
injured he
take him,
was.
but I think he's going to figure less
I'd
and
take
less.
him in a heartbeat for United.
Yeah, I have to agree
Even
with
now.
you. I don't think there's many players who are like him, to be honest.
He's-
Frank
yeah.
Lampard doesn't. You don't see Frank Lampard going around tackling, absolutely smashing him with the
He has-
tackle.
He's got everything, Gerrard.
I think Frank Lampard's like a fancy Dan. He likes to like flutter around people and then just hit it from long ranges and let it bounce before it
Yes.
goes in. How many times do you see Frank Lampard smash one into the top corner, whereas Gerrard just drills it straight in? Gerrard like a little bounce before the keeper.
It was going back to that old argument that in the England team, Gerrard and Lampard couldn't play together.
I think
As
that's
stupid as it
Capello's good
sounded,
excuse. That though.
I'd have got rid of Lampard straight away if it
Yeah.
meant keeping Gerrard in the team.
I agree with you. Right then, enough about Gerrard. We'll move on, get a bit of sports and a bit of gossip just after this. Right then, boys, just before we move on, I forgot to get a prediction. Fulham, Liverpool, where do you see the score going, Tom?
I'm going to say a draw for this one. 1-1 or 2-2, I think.
Danny?
2-1 Liverpool.
I'm going to go Liverpool 1-0. Right then, let's just have a quick bit of sports news and gossip with this evening's sport. Here with you right now, you've got Mr. Lee Stott.
The Yard has passed a file onto the Crown Prosecution Service regarding John Terry's alleged racial slur. The Chelsea and England captain is alleged to have abused QPR defender Anton Ferdinand during a Premier League game. Terry, who was interviewed by police under caution last Friday, denies the allegations. The CPS will now decide whether to bring charges. Still with Chelsea, and boss Andre Villas-Boas has dismissed suggestions that a failure to progress to the next phase of the Champions League would cost him his job. The Blues face Valencia on Tuesday, and a loss would see them exit the tournament. Villas-Boas says he was brought in for a 3-year project and has dismissed any talk of a crisis of confidence at the club.
Oh, I don't think so. I don't think so. It's a crisis point for everybody that speculates with what is happening and invents things that are not happening in this football club. But we just have to put ourselves together.
Sticking with European football, and 2 English sides can reach the knockout phase of the Europa League tonight. Fulham hope to secure a win in Holland against Twente, while Stoke are at home to Dynamo Kiev. And Sir Trevor Brookings' verdict on Fabio Capello remaining England manager after Euro 2012 is never say never. The Italian is widely expected to move on following the tournament, but the Football Association's Director of Football Development has suggested he could stay on. Sir Trevor tells Sky Sports News there's no issue with Capello exploring other options, though.
From our point of view, he's quite at liberty to do whatever he likes. I know he's quite interested in the broadcasting side back at his home as well. So, we're happy. I know our professional Fabio is. He's going to totally focus on having a successful tournament.
There you go then. There's your evening news. We're going to move on then. In just a moment, we'll have Tom's tip of the weekend, and then we'll move on to a little bit more gossip from our panel in the studio, Danny Roberts and Thomas Shott. Thomas Shott's tip of the week. Coming live from the studio in just a moment. Right, Thomas, you've had your big introduction. Caught him a bit short there. Come on, give us your tip of the week. You've had your big introduction. Give us the tips. What are you going for? We don't want any silly plus ones. Just give us a straight match of the week, odds of the week.
Before he starts, he had a bet last night and it didn't come in.
I bet on Spurs.
When was the last time you had a win?
I've not bet
2007.
Not bet for a while.
The last bet, I had a bet last night.
You won, your mate robbed it off you.
No. Right, anyway. It's a tough weekend, but I'm going to give you two. If you're feeling a bit risky, then you've got either Newcastle to win, which is nearly 3-1, Chelsea evens, which is good odds, and then you've got the likes of West Brom and Norwich. Well, West Brom's 2-1.
West Brom to beat QPR.
Yeah, that's 2-1, which is decent. But I mean, the standout ones is the Newcastle-Chelsea game. I think Chelsea evens is big odds. I mean, you can understand why they're evens because of a slump they're in, but still big odds for Chelsea. And then Newcastle at nearly 3-1 to win.
What about a little, there's a big outsider here for me. Everton-Stoke. I wouldn't say Stoke have had that bad a season. I know they were a bit down there and Tony Pulis was a bit worried. 4-1 to beat Everton. It's not bad odds.
That's big odds, yeah. I mean, you can only see it's that big because of the game we've got tonight, but I mean, Everton are a good side at home, but Stoke can always
if he says
nick
set
the goal.
pieces, I'm walking out.
He can always nick the goals, especially from set pieces. But
I'm going to tell Tony Pulis that you think Stoke are just a set piece side.
I'm not, but that's the main
You'll have
strength.
a few choice words for Thomas Shott, I can tell you now.
That's the main strength. But yeah, well, Luke's just picked out a beauty here. Liverpool at 6-5.
Beauty. Fulham are playing now. Thursday night.
Playing now.
They're going to play Monday, so they've got a bit of a recovery time, but not the best. Liverpool are going to be fresh. They've just won. Did they win midweek, Liverpool?
Yeah.
So they're flying. That was the U team who played last week.
They'll see this as a winnable game, so I mean...
6-5. That's better than evens.
I think I might.
That's where your money needs to go.
A Monday night
£10 win, Liverpool. Whatever score you want, Liverpool will win that game, no problem. Right then, boys, we're coming towards the end of the show now then. Anybody got anything in the week, bit of gossip you'd like to pass on to the show?
Should we have a quick chat about the rumours of Gary Speed?
Go on then, Tom, tell us what the rumours are. What have you heard?
Well,
what is the news from the grapevine?
Was it from you, I think, that apparently...
I am not. This is not my rumour. I haven't created this. This is from sources.
Yeah, it's not our opinions, but apparently it's been around in football for a while that Gary Speed is actually gay, and the news was going to apparently be coming out in the next few weeks, and that's why he decided to, take his own life.
Apparently so. This is what I heard. I've been back into the northwest over the last few days, and the news around there, I don't know if it's just in northwest source, somebody's made it up, what it is, that he is actually gay, and that is why he's led to kill himself, because he didn't want this to affect his family. And now apparently this has been known in the football world for quite a while now, and I'm sure we will find out. And if it is, it's obviously terrible news that he feels he has to do that because of the industry he's in.
Well, is it because of the industry he's in? I don't think anyone would, I don't know, judge him or fall out with him or be like, I don't know, it's hard to explain if he came out gay in the football world. I think it's more to do with if he's been living a lie with his wife and his kids for the last however many years and he's not told them, and then he thinks that if that came out, then basically they wouldn't want anything to do with him. But I mean, it's just an interesting view.
You've got to say they prefer it to him taking his own life. He should have, if it's true, he could have spoken to her. I think anything's better than committing suicide. It's got to be.
Yeah, but to him, I mean, if he's contemplating life without his family, that would be the worst case scenario. I mean, but it probably wouldn't have happened if he, like you said, if he'd talked to him. But maybe he just felt that there wasn't anything good that was going to come out of this coming out. So
well, there was an article on, I think it was The Independent today, that said 2 top footballers are going to remain in the closet. That was the headline, and it seems that quite a few players are in the game that are gay that feel that they can't talk about it.
And just getting in now here from, there's actually a football website. I've been on it in the past. It's like a Twitter-style website, a football forum, really. Rate Your Player, it's called. On there today, there's been a lot of rumours that Gary Speed was blackmailed by the media, in particular some reporters, who we already know are in a lot of trouble with the Levinson inquiry, phone hacking, etc., who threatened only recently, within a few days of his death, that they were going to publish a story about his sex life, claiming he was having a homosexual affair. So whether these rumours are true or not,
well,
we do not know, but
probably find out in the next few days. I mean, but it is shocking. But I mean, he must have felt like his world was collapsing when he heard this. If he's been living with his wife, if his wife's never suspected anything, that would probably be the worst thing that could happen to him.
Here's a few tweets that we've got through. Somebody said, the Sun will be under real scrutiny. They led him to do this. I've been looking on Twitter, and it seems the acquisitions are true. We'll just have to see. Someone on Twitter said, story is the Sun newspaper had an injunction lifted about Gary Speed being gay, and they rang you on Saturday to say it will be on Monday's front page newspaper. Now, if these reports are true, at the moment they're very much rumours, as the Sun have denied any online any accusations of this. A message on the paper's official Twitter account read, no truth in this story. The Sun was not investigating Gary Speed in any way, shape or form. So we know what the Sun are like. It wouldn't put it past me if they were doing something like this. But this is a terrible, terrible time if them rumours are true.
It is. It's shocking, really.
It's disgusting.
Yeah. Well, they're obviously going to say they weren't doing any investigating him after he's killed himself, aren't they? But, I mean, it will be interesting to see or hear what's been happening with the inquiry. And if this is true, then it's shocking. I mean, if you're gay or not, you shouldn't be treated any differently. But, I mean, I think if it is true, then it'll be that he just didn't want his family to find out, basically, or collapse.
I think it is shocking. Obviously, we must reiterate, these are just rumours. There's no official thing to say this happened. And to be honest, it's not our problem. I think that's his family's. And unless Gary has left a letter as he's died to say that is the reason, then we can't ever say that is the reason why he has done it. But very, very sad news, I feel, if that is true.
We drove past Ellen Road yesterday, and the tributes that were outside, Gwen, I know you've gone past as well, Luke.
Yeah.
They were moving. There was people taking
Very.
pictures. There was people laying flowers. There was shirts all around a statue outside the club shop. It was quite upsetting.
Very similar to when George Best died. I remember going to Old Trafford after that, and the scenes around there were very touching. Thousands and thousands of people putting stuff down, flowers, shirts, stuff with his name on.
Same with me in that Lofthouse at Bolton.
Yeah.
I think he was the one true legend that Bolton have ever had, and he was a great guy to have around the town. A lot of people knew him and respect him, and came out for his funeral.
Yeah, a bit of interesting news here. In the wake of Gary Speed's death, the Footballers Union, the PFA, has reissued a guide to players on how to cope with depression. There's no confirmation that Speed was a sufferer, but the Professional Footballers Association have decided that now would be a good time to send out this 36-page booklet again. Do you think that's a bit late?
I mean, people talk about footballers suffering when they've retired, but he was involved in the game day to day still. I know it's not the same as playing, but he was forming a Wales team how he wanted them to play. I mean, he had his whole managerial career to look forward to. He was leading them to a World Cup campaign. So, I can't. I mean, it's tough to believe.
It shouldn't take a death for someone to take action. If we know it's in the game, it's just brushed under the carpet. I can see why some players would have a problem with coming out because of the stereotypes of the game. But
do you think there's a problem with like homophobia and stuff then in football?
Yeah, you basically only see it with the fans, really. It's the same with racism. It's only just coming out now with like John Terry and Evra and Suarez that you've seen it recently, because you know racism goes on and people just seem to brush it under the carpet. I know Seb Blatter comes out and says stupid comments about, oh, just shake hands, but that's what a lot of people actually do, because you don't hear about it. And unless it's someone in the Prem or someone that's in the limelight, they're not going to come out about it. You're not going to hear of an Accrington Stanley reserve player that's been racist. They're not going to put that on the back page of the paper. It's only when it makes news and it's going to sell papers.
Yeah, definitely. Just a bit then, hear about Clark Carlisle, who is obviously currently PFA, is it vice chairman or something like that? Basically a link man between the football world and the PFA. And he says a lot more needs to be done on this issue.
We need to bang that drum louder, and we need to make sure that all the boys, and hopefully, you know, pass that through into society, that everyone's aware that mental health issues are not a reflection of self.
So there we go, Clark Carlisle, who has had experiences. I know he's been alcoholic and stuff in the past, and I'm not sure if he's recently been suffering them, but that's just rumours, we can't confirm that. But is football in a bit of a crisis at the moment? I know 10 other footballers who haven't been named have checked into a rehab centre to be treated for this, like depression, I suppose. On the verge of suicide, they've gone to get checked in and need some help.
Yeah, it must be a shock if you're like playing football for, say, 20 years, you're going to training every day, you're mixing with the same people, and then suddenly you can't be doing that. You've got to find something else to do, and it could be a shock to some people, and maybe they just don't want something else to do, and that could be why they feel they need to, well, take their own lives, really.
On a more positive note then, some good results in the Carling Cup. Good shock result at Old Trafford. Not very nice to say as a Man United fan, but I thought Palace played well, and it was an unbelievable goal by Darren Ambrose.
I'm actually not seen it yet, but
an
apparently
absolute world beater.
Dougie Friedman says he does it every day in training. He wasn't that shocked, but
going out
it
to
was a shock.
Do it against the champions of the Premier League, it's a different matter.
Cardiff beating Blackburn, as we said.
Yeah.
Liverpool was more shocking than the Cardiff-Blackburn one, I thought. I thought it'd be a lot closer than it was.
It's just nice to see, I think. I reckon Cardiff, I'm going to have a little cheeky tip. Cardiff to go on and win the Carling Cup in memory of obviously Gary Speed being a Welshman, and the Welsh are going to take it back to Wales just for Gary Speed. What do you think? Do you agree?
I mean, you look at the reserve, well, you call it reserve sides, but City and Liverpool come out. I mean, I think one of them two are going to win it.
Here you go then, Tom. Just watching the Crystal Palace goal, Darren Ambrose. Watch this one. Watch that fly in. Absolute
what
beauty.
A beauty.
Ben Amos.
That
You
was
could
a
have put him
great
about
strike.
10 Ben Amoses in the goal.
Yeah.
He still wouldn't have scored. Look at that. Absolute beauty.
That was very nice.
Deserved goal to win any game. Unfortunately, it didn't, because United replied within minutes.
Yeah.
But look at that. There's a shot from behind the goal. Watch the way it just turns. Ben's beauty.
That was very nice.
Right then, that concludes the show tonight, boys. It's been nice talking to you. We'll meet next week, one of the last shows before Christmas break. We'll round up some of the games, probably a longer show as we go over Christmas. Anyway, thanks a lot, boys. Thanks for your predictions.
Thank
Just
you.
reiterate that tip of the week, Tom. You had a few.
There was quite
Which
a few.
one do you want?
Well,
Liverpool, I think you
I
fancy.
like, well, yeah, Liverpool just over evens, and then the Newcastle-Chelsea game.
Newcastle one does sound like a good
Newcastle to win is 3-1, but I mean, any of them could happen. Newcastle could win, but I would draw probably just over 2.5 to 1.
While we're still on the show, saw some transfer rumours this morning.
Yeah, go on, fire away with your transfer rumours.
one seems like it could go across. One was Junior Hoilett to Tottenham, which seems completely ridiculous.
Yeah, I've heard that one.
But there was also Nicholas Anelka to Tottenham. Now, if they got him and Adebayor in, I think the strike force at Tottenham would be
Unbelievable.
unmatched.
Unbelievable.
And then there was another one that was rumoured, which I can't see any truth in, and that was 38-year-old Filippo Inzaghi, Serie A legend, to go to Blackburn.
Come on,
Sign off the show.
this is like Raul. Bloody.
Yeah, I'm just getting that up here. That was in the
He was going to Blackburn apparently.
So
last
was
year, but-
Ronaldinho.
the Metro newspaper. I don't know how reliable the Metro is. It's free. So how reliable is the news? That's a different question. Yeah, Harry Redknapp is gearing up a January double swoop for Blackburn midfielder Junior Hoilett and Chelsea's out-of-favour striker Nicholas Anelka. We did see another one, a 30 million transfer fee. Arsenal, when did they ever spend that much money? But apparently they want to spend that on a move for Borussia Dortmund's 19-year-old German international Mario Götze. I think that's how you say it. That's from the Daily Mirror. Man United fear they may lose Paul Pogba. 18-year-old Paul Pogba. We have heard this one bouncing around a bit to fierce rivals Man City as they talk over a new deal.
Do you rate Paul Pogba as a player? I don't really know.
I don't know. He looks average. He's very young at the moment. Obviously, he's only our age.
Too
You can't
early, I
really
think.
date.
It's another Owen Hargreaves. We've got him. He got a goal for us, and he didn't really play for
I
you
suppose.
United. I think that's the
It's
reason they signed
miles
him.
too early to judge him. I think
They've got money, and they just want to basically get one up on United. I think.
Yeah, that's about it then, I think, boys. Spanish fullback Jose Enrique says his Liverpool teammates have encouraged him to play for England.
No.
How about that one?
No.
Would he even get in the team?
Leighton
I
Baines
doubt
any
it.
day. Well, Ashley Cole's
Leighton
the
Baines,
obvious
that's
first
the
choice.
choice,
but
yeah.
Leighton Baines.
And then just a bit of a comedy one to finish us off. Manchester City keeper Joe Hart has been caught on camera singing Oasis hit Wonderwall and mimicking former frontman and City fan Liam Gallagher. That's it. Thanks, boys.
Cheers.
We'll see you on Tuesday for the final whistle show. That was the Park Life Football Podcast early kickoff show. Thanks for joining us. And we'll see you sometime next week.